promotion, etc.
Under the colonial.
Yes, and then Ojukwu was, we were promoted at the same time with Ojukwu.
Are you serious?
Ojukwu, he as a quartermaster general, and David Ejo led the governor, former governor of the Midwest. He was the GSO1. After that course, I came back, and then within 36 hours of my arrival, yes, a coup took place, and all my colleagues, that we came from the same school. Malari, Kuru Mohammed, Abogo Larigema, Yakubu Pam, and were all killed. And not one senior officer at the time, a colleague of mine who was the same set, an Igbo officer, he too was killed. Arthur Onegbe, he too was killed. I was the last one standing. So that was how the military came into power.
Now, can you give us the events that led to your becoming the head of states at the age of 31?
After the first, that coup, and things were back to order. A lot of problems in the country, riots here and killings here. And Iransi was trying to get all the traditional rulers to have a meeting in Ibadan. The crisis got to the stage whereby Iransi was kidnapped, taken by some young officers, and even though instruction was given that they should he must be kept safe, and moved to safety. That instruction was not obeyed by these young officers, and the next thing that I received report that he was killed, etc. And so for the next 2-3 days, there was nobody in charge.
Was a vacuum.
There was a vacuum. And so it got to the time when even the civil servants, senior civil servants in Lagos, they want at least somebody to give the command. Unfortunately, the chief of staff, then Brigadier Ogundipe, Brigadier General Ogundipe, was not able, to take control, because I think he had organized some soldiers, to go and either discipline, what was happening in Ikeja. And unfortunately, as a result of that, all other officers refused to take his command. Okay. So I had to go to Ikeja to try and sort out things. And when I went there, yes, true enough, they had to sort of accept my command. They said at that time they're not accepting any instruction from anyone else other than myself at that time. So, well, I was not honestly keen, and I remembered saying, well, if any of you junior ones want to do it, I want you can take it, but leave me. I want to sort of take charge of the army to restore the discipline, loyalty of the Nigerian army that I was in charge of as Adjutant General of the Nigerian army. I offered it to even the junior ones. However, on second thought later on, I said, I can now see. But then, the diplomatic corps also, they want at least anybody who can be listened to. Wow. So that is when it came to me. Now, the young officers said, no, they would not like anybody else other than myself. Wow. Other than myself.
There was a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, so I said, well, look, it is not now. So when it got to the stage whereby, yes, if that is the case, if they've said that, I made known to the other senior officers that we were in government together at the time, and of course, they said, well, look, I think the best thing that we should do is to accept something that can ensure that the military or the army is brought under control, and at least is loyal to whichever leadership that will come. So, that was, I think, at the time that I was being virtually asked, look, to take charge, take control, and I did. But when it became very clear to me that I was going to be the head of state, the fear that really came, on me, honestly, in fact, the fear that you have when you're about taking your school certificate, I don't know whether you remember.
What sustained you when you were in power, when you took over power after the vacuum?
Well, so in the end, what I had to do was that I asked, when it became abundantly clear that I cannot get away from it, I asked everybody to leave the room, and I went down on my knee and prayed to God that at least God knows that it is not my wish, my intention, that this should happen, but right the way through, He has seen me through. So I prayed to God to give me the courage, of David and the wisdom of Solomon. Wow. To be able to do the right thing for the country, for the people, and for our nation. And honestly, I must admit, after that prayer, I said, show me the way to do it.
You got your confidence.
My confidence returned. And I know that I cannot do it. I have not been in government. I know, yes, in the army, I know what to do. I can give various instructions. But what I needed now to do was to get the cooperation of other people outside even the army. And of course, since there are no politicians for me to discuss with or work with, at least there is the civil servants.
Okay.
The civil servants, in Nigeria, and of course, a number of them have been my permanent secretary, Ministry of Defense, and of course, some of them we had worked with, at various conferences, meeting, to discuss. The independence celebrations, at that time.
Wow.
And of course, so if I had to, depend on them, I said, well, how the government is done. You give advice to the government. So, I'll rely on you, to help be able to, so that if we can work together in the interest, of the country.
You truly are a man of history. Now let's come to the Civil War. You led the Civil War. Can you tell us the lessons you learned after the war, so that the generations that has not encountered war will understand why it is necessary to maintain peace at all costs?
After the war, after the Civil War, I know what various people went through. Now, honestly, war is not something that you wanted to do. I was only forced to do it, but not to fight the people, the old people, the pregnant women, children, etc. No, I think it was, I gave instruction to the soldiers. There is an instruction how they are to behave, to look after, to protect the people, the older people, only those who take up arms against them. That was the thing. Now, when you hear the story that we killed 1 million or 2 million or 3 million people, no, not from the soldiers shooting people. It meant they have to go shooting the people right the way through. It is the people that became casualties were the people that Ojukwu and the Eastern government told to run away from these vandals, from these wicked people, from Gowon, the killer, etc. And of course, these people are running away, and as the area contracted because of our movement. And of course, I think most of people really died of either hunger, diseases, etc. Not really from the federal troops, shooting and killing people indiscriminately. It is only those who, took up arms, against. And at the end of the war, I said, and I prayed to God that Nigeria should never again go through experience, this sort of carnage.
So do you think the Igbos have been rehabilitated, reintegrated, and reconciled to Nigeria properly?
During the Civil War, a lot of or before the Civil War, a lot of the Igbo people had to leave, the country. But it is not the federal government that moved them out. It was a call from Ojukwu himself that all Easterners should leave. All Easterners should live in all parts of the country, and because he was thinking or planning for probably secession at the time, and so a lot of people, left, had to leave because of that, of that call. Those that had to leave for fear of, the crisis that was taking place, were very few. Now, I understand that the chief, the Otumba Balogun had, a neighbor, next to him who left, who was staying next to him, Vice President Ekweme, and so he had to look after his house and even rented it for him, etc. And at the end of the Civil War, when I asked that we should adopt our 3 R's: reconciliation, rehabilitation, and reconstruction. But there is also another R, reintegration. Reintegration, even though that can be included in the rehabilitation. In a program, but reintegration. But how about we call it 3 R's? Now, I understand that what he did in fulfillment of that policy, which Ekweme returned to Lagos, and then his friend the Tumba said, "Well, here is your house." He has renovated it. He had rented it to people, so he gave him back his house and all the money, the rent that he had collected. Honestly, that was one of the greatest things that helped, to fulfill our program, our effort to try to, bring the country together again, etc. So he played his part. As a Yoruba man, as from from the West, and as a Nigerian, that are called to do whatever we can in order to ensure that we're able to come back together again as a people and build a better nation. Now, that sort of thing also happened, I can assure you, in all parts of the country, in Kano, in Jos, in Zaria, in Kaduna, and in various parts of the country. A lot of the Igbo people left almost immediately as soon as the war was over. They went back and they got their property and whatever rent that was given to them. At least that helped to bring about the reconciliation that is required in order for the country now to become one again and to move forward.
You are the initiator of the National Youth Service Corps. Do you think the objective for which it was set up has been met and sustained? Because there are also some schools of thought that are saying that it should be scrapped. What's your take, Your Excellency?
Now, I can tell you this, that they are very, very happy with it, and the improvement in the scheme from when it started during our time, but what they have now, the youth corps have done to all the states, states and local governments throughout the country, the improvement that they've made and the reputation they've had from people. I can assure you, today the improvement of the youth corps service is so much that it is the youth corps themselves that are saying, yes, please let it continue. Let it continue, because it is giving us even new adventure. The whole idea was for the young people to know their country, Those who live in Lagos, send them to either Maiduguri or to Sokoto. Those from Sokoto, send them to Calabar or to Port Harcourt, so that they can learn how to swim. That really helped our young people to know themselves, and they will grow as knowing themselves as Nigerians, not just part of their own particular area where they came from. So, I can assure you, that idea is a good idea, and to help the youth, and to me, anything that can do that, so that, because they would be the future of your country.
Your Excellency, of all your legacies, which is the closest to your heart?
I think, that I was able to keep the country together.
Okay.
And then, to ensure we had the opportunity to really move this country beyond what it is before return to democracy. But we had a economic plan that would have taken this country beyond. Honestly, we are at the stage of even beginning to industrialize.
Yes.
After the Civil War, the development plan we had, that was for reconstruction, to help.
Yeah.
So, guys, we all know that many Igbo leaders have come out, like Senator Victor Ume and also Abaribe. They've all come out to say that Gowon needs to write his own book. This was an interview granted some time ago. It's not a new interview. But you've heard everything he said in this video. Really, the Igbos want to know more. The Igbos demand more insight as to what led to the Civil War. How was that coup turned to be an Igbo coup? What actually happened? Because this is an allegation that ended up claiming the lives of so many Igbos. So many people. Recently, somebody tweeted and was mentioning how many people were died in different years, as in like 1980, this number of persons were died. 1966, when the coup actually happened. These are the number of people that were died. So many people, from this coup, hatred for Igbos heightened, became obvious. They hated the people for no cause. People like Gowon them. Because he's from the north, he was being pushed against the Igbos. and they all stood up against the people. This same catastrophe, this same problem is what led to the Civil War. A war that was fought against a people for demanding for their rights. A war that was fought against a people that were being marginalized because they felt the coup was to remove a northerner to put in an Igbo man. But actually, today it's clear that that coup wasn't meant to enthrone an Igbo leader. It was meant to enthrone a Yoruba leader. And IBB has come out to spill the milk, telling the whole world that it wasn't an Igbo coup. I know that so many people, even in the North, will not like that, because they wanted the wrong narrative to continue being out there so that people would think that this was actually from the Igbos. But Nigerians were so glad to see that even a northern leader, somebody like him, IBB, came out to say it wasn't an Igbo coup, and that rested the whole thing. It rested the whole thing because when you look at the way people were taking the Igbos for granted, you just keep wondering, is this a country we all say we belong to? Is this a country we all say we belong to? The Igbos are not being given any space. The Igbos are not being carried along. The Igbos are neglected. You go to the southwest, like in Lagos, they will tell you go back to your place. You go to places like in the north, they will tell you go back to your place. They will tell you don't allow the Igbos. Don't let them buy land. They are domineering. They want to take over. Igbos, Igbos, Igbos. One keeps wondering, how did we get here, Nigerians? How did we get here? That a people are being hated to this point. How did we get here? Honestly, when you look at what is happening in this country, you just keep wondering if the one Nigeria we've been told, if it's a reality, does it really exist? Is there anything like one Nigeria? Is there anything that really unites us? Is there anything that unites us? Upon all that was done against the Igbos, nobody came out to apologize to a people whose people were, oh my God, the Igbos have lost a lot. The Igbos keep losing men, young men. You go under the Buhari's government, we saw how they kidnapped the Southeasterners, how they buried them, how they couldn't talk, how they abandoned Zambeza and came to the Southeast with their military. They used Tokado in the name of they were looking for IPOB members. And guess what? Many Igbo youths were caught up. Many Igbo youths. We are going to tell stories. When Hope Uzodinma leaves office, Imolites will tell their stories. Imolites, men and women, will be encouraged to come out to speak. Come out to speak. Come out and share your story. Share your story. Because we've got to see that many Imo youths are missing. Many Imo youths, those of them from families that cannot speak for them. They've all gone missing. Honestly, it's really so sad, considering the way things are going in this country. You can't believe that the people will be taken for granted. So guys, I don't know what you make of this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notification bell. Please give this video a like so that YouTube can recommend it to others. And drop your thoughts in the comment section below.